Hi, everyone. My name is Scott Morris. Welcome back to one of our GTS Publisher to Retailer webinars. I am joined today by a very good friend of mine, Nathan from Tiny Epic World Universe. Gamelyn Games. So Nathan is the Chief Sales Officer for Gamelyn Games, and most of you probably carry Gamelyn Games in some form or fashion in your store already. They're known as the Tiny Epic Company. Scott Alms is a designer. They've done everything from Tiny Epic Galaxies to Tiny Epic Dungeons, which we're going to talk about today. There's a whole bunch of different categories. And the really, really nice thing about these games, if you haven't heard of them or aren't familiar with them, these are games that are very broad. Any type of customer, any type of player that you're looking for to kind of fill their gaps on their shelves, these games, there's something in this game line for them, which is really, really awesome. Today, we're actually going to be talking about Tiny Epic Dungeons, which is very, very cool. It's something that is coming out very, very shortly, right around the corner. We are recording this as of I speak right now on January 12th of 2022. Happy New Year, by the way. But we are running a promotion for Tiny Epic Dungeons this month, and we want to make sure to bring some awareness to y'all so that you knew both about the game and why it's so awesome, but also about an awesome deal that you can get. Just so you know ahead of time, the deal is very simple. If you buy 5 games, pre-order 5 games in January, you get a 6th for a penny. So really, really good deal to be able to get some extra margin on that for you. And like I said, it's coming right around the corner. So I don't want to steal too much of Nathan's thunder because he has a lot of good things to talk about. So Nathan, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us. I hope Michael is doing well, so please give him our best as well. Michael is the owner, of course. But I will take my face that was made for radio, let it be a little bit quieter, and let you take over and start off with some stuff because I know you got a presentation to share with us.
Hey, well, Scott, I appreciate that. And thank you for the introduction there. And welcome, everyone. I appreciate everyone who's going to take the time to watch this and learn a little bit about Tiny Epic Dungeons and a little bit more about Tiny Epic. And so I am just going to jump right in and start with the presentation that I prepared. We can go through exactly what Tiny Epic Dungeons, Gamelyn Games' most recent Kickstarter, our most successful Kickstarter, and this is our largest release that we've done, period. So I'm going to jump right in here.
That is awesome. Yep, got it up on the screen.
Perfect. So we're just going to go ahead and see here. We got our catalog OG. And so, but you'll see that we're releasing this March 18th. So like Scott said, just right around the corner. First thing you're going to see, boom, minis. We've done it. We have put minis inside of our Tiny Epic box. So first thing we got is the core game, Tiny Epic Dungeons. It's a 1 to 4 player cooperative strategy. It's a classic dungeon crawl in under an hour. So it's a full experience dungeon crawl game, what everybody's looking for when they sit down and play D&D, but you're going to get it in 1 hour. And the base game alone comes with 8 miniatures inside of the box. You're going to see an example kind of the setup here. You're going to be doing all those classic things you expect. You're collecting loot, you're disabling traps, you're slaying the goblins, killing the minions, and ultimately trying to defeat the boss before your torch runs out. You can kind of see here, we can take a really good close-up look at the miniatures, highly detailed miniatures, a lot of variety with them. Each character has its own special character card, which is going to bring unique powers. They're going to be geared more towards agility, maybe magic, speed. So you're going to be able to really customize your adventure party and have that dungeon experience.
That's very cool. I should probably point out the size of this box is amazing given what is in this box. Like, I don't know if you guys have like Doctor Who TARDIS technology or what it is that you guys do, but the fact that you have fit not just so much from a gameplay perspective in the box, but the miniatures as well. Like it's kind of amazing.
Yeah, no, there definitely is puzzles that go on, and people are like, there's definitely some voodoo happening behind the scenes in there when we're working those games. But we always take it as a challenge, and we keep up leveling our work. Games can expand from wood pieces to cards, like some of our classics, like Tiny Epic Galaxies, which is the bestseller. All the way now, we are introducing miniatures, resin dice. There's going to be lots of different mediums between woods and cards, and it is just jam packed. When you pick up the Tiny Epic box, when you shake it's not moving because there's an insert in it. It's just because it is all game.
Yeah, no, it speaks to the value, right? I mean, that's always been one of my favorite things about the Tiny Epic line is that there's a tremendous amount of value in the box, both for the size and for the price, which, in this time of the world, as people are looking for more value from their games because everyone's kind of stuck at home, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and you can see Tiny Epic games and they all stick right at that $30 MSRP. So it is a great price point for a lot of game. All right. And you can see Tiny Epic Dungeons, it features a modular board. So again, in that classic dungeon crawl vein, you're going to be heading into rooms. You're not knowing what's going to be there. It's a surprise. The dungeon is different for you every time. Again, you're going to have goblins and traps and things that you have to take out to be able to move forward through these dungeons. Some characters are going to be better than others. So you're going to have to work together and cooperate to make it through. One of the great features in this is the loot that it offers, and this loot that these minions and these goblins are dropping, there's a set collection element to it. And so, are you going to be the greatest warrior the bear clan has ever seen by collecting the studded jerkin of the bear, the great axe of the bear, and getting those extra bonuses by collecting that? It's a really awesome part of the game, is not only having your hero be variable from the other heroes, but customizing the loot that it has. So each time your characters are going to have different skills and abilities, regardless of what character you play.
That's cool. That artwork looks really sharp too, for like the tome and the axe and everything like that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yes, yeah, and that's the same, and that's the style of art that's throughout the whole game. Every attention to detail in the art, shines through. So yes, thank you.
Good.
And we come in and we don't just give you the base game, we come in at you with the expansion as well. And these are being released simultaneously. And this expansion is called the Stories expansion. First and foremost, right out the gate, 8 more miniatures. So between the base game and this Stories expansion, you have 16 different heroes, 16 different miniatures that you'll play with.
That's pretty good for $45 total.
That's $45 total. That's exactly right.
Pretty amazing. I mean, eight miniatures for $15, just period. Like, forget the additional content to the game, the different, additional story and everything like that. Like, I think about all the miniatures that our retailers carry and how much each of those miniatures go for. Like, that's a deal in and of itself.
Yeah, and you can see the types of offerings. These aren't, in the base game you have your standard, warriors, elves, but in the expansion we explore a little bit more of a varied variety of beings and creatures. We have panda warriors. We have dryads. We have monks, we have adventurers. And so we kind of, really try to encapsulate all the different types of characters, that somebody could play. And there's really going to be something for everybody.
That's really cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. And stories, kind of the element that it adds on top, is it gives you those quests. So, you're not just, okay, we just got to go through the dungeon to defeat the boss. No, we also have to rescue this group of adventurers, find the golden phoenix, purify the aquaphor. We have to do something else on our way by getting these special quests. And so it just adds a very dynamic element, because time is not on your side in Tiny Epic Dungeons.
Everybody really should purify the aquifer at the end of the day. I mean,
right. That's actually Scott, that's just doing the needful.
Yeah. Yeah.
That actually shouldn't be an adventure. That's a requirement each and every time.
That's awesome.
And so now I want to kind of show everybody a close-up of the minis. So the minis are actually, the imagery that you've seen so far, those are not going to be the color of the mini. We actually are going to go with a Pantone color called Serenity, which is actually a Pantone color of the year winner. So you're going to have a nice blue hue to these miniatures that, when inside the dungeon, it adds an element. It looks like that they are hiding in those shadows. It makes the lighting of the dungeon where the characters where the characters look like they're more in dungeon light, and it creates a really awesome experience on the table. It's kind of why we've chosen this color, and it's really unique.
That is very cool. Yeah, that's always been kind of an interesting thing, right? Like, I know even recently, Hasbro like redid their Hero Quest and everything like that. And the miniatures kind of have those same older colors that they use, the kind of the reds and the greens and stuff like that. And I never really thought about the ability for the miniatures color to affect things until that, because especially if you have a lot on the board and a lot of information on tiles and things like that, it's good to have them stand out and separate themselves, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it really adds a thematic feel. It looks like they're in the shadows, and it's really cool.
I should also make a note to retailers. Everything you're seeing here, all the SKUs, the part numbers and everything, that's all live and active in our system right now. So as you're pre-ordering the base game, you can pre-order any of the expansions and accessories as well. So all that's live and ready to go.
Yes, and you want to take advantage of gaming those at the same time. A lot of the accessories, we print, a lot at the beginning, but there's not a lot of reprints of the accessories that come as much as when the game initially launches, and the accessories go very, very quickly. And so having the full offering out the gates with the Tiny Epic project, being the fact that they are low price points, what we're doing is people can add on those accessories and still come in under the price of a large game, but they've totally made it a deluxe experience for themselves and people they're playing with. First thing there is the mat. I mean, the mat. So again, the mat is something that Tiny Epic fans are finding more and more practical for their games, because one of the ways that we get away with having a small box size is our boards are always modular, made with cards. And so setting up the dungeon and having your cards lay right, having it, be graphed a little bit and telegraphed a little bit with these sides, it really allows the game to be framed and actually really aids in setup and teardown and speed of gameplay when you do have a spot for everything inside of the box.
Yeah, the playmat for Tiny Epic Pirates was great. I mean, that really that kind of brought the whole thematic together and everything. So it's definitely much more than just an aesthetic accessory.
Yes, exactly. And that's why we went ahead and we boxed it for retailers as well, because we are finding more and more that it's not just the all-in Kickstarter backer that wants to have this experience. It is the average gamer who's coming into your store, finding Tiny Epic on their shelves. They do want that expanded experience. And so we went ahead and we've retail boxed this gaming mat so that it has a hang tag. It'll be easy to store inside of your shop.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know most of the conversations that I have with retailers when it comes to play mats, they really do prefer something like that that's peggable, that they can put onto, slat wall or anything like that. So that's a nice advantage.
And so just same thing is we've offered player mats for the individual players as well. So in this game, you can see you're going to be collecting loot for your hands, your armor, the different pendants that you're wearing, the spells that you have collected. You're even casting magic in this game, and keeping all that information organized in front of you and being able to calculate your attack powers, your defensive powers, your spell powers quickly, having it all right there in the same place, kind of laid out in the way that the game, lends itself to be able to calculate easily, really does help, again, not just the aesthetic of the game, but the gameplay experience as well. And we've took the time to make them all even different. So in previous iterations of Tiny Epic, the mat designs have all been the same. You're actually going to get 4 different mats inside this one box.
That's nice. A little more personalization.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. So you're the druid character. So you're going to grab this green one if you want to have, make it a little more thematic for yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And being a dungeon crawler, you're disarming traps, you're fighting goblins and minions. That's all going to be done based off of dice. And so you're going to be rolling a lot of dice in this game, having skill checks, different broad checks like you would in a dungeon game. So we're just going to offer a snap dice tray here. It comes apart, it lays flat, easy to store, clips right back together. The branding is on both sides of it. And again, that's a great add-on item to have. And all of these will be polybagged with hang tags at the top as well.
Awesome. Yeah, those dice trays are very good just in general. Forget being just
Correct.
Aligned to Tiny Epic Dungeons themselves. Just being able to have the ability to throw it in your bag or your backpack or whatever and take it wherever you go is a very, very nice assistance.
Yeah. When we've seen that with, you mentioned Tiny Epic Pirates earlier, we constructed metal coins for Tiny Epic Pirates to give a more thematic experience. But we found that there were just a lot of retailers buying large amounts of the pirate coins just because they, were just generic, gold doubloons, and they started to sell. And so, the dice tray kind of in that same vein.
That's awesome.
And just a couple more things for you. Again, we really wanted to give the retailers the same kind of experience as the backers to really fully get everything out of their game. And so all the little dungeon meeples, all the little bosses that you're going to fight, again, you get this big chunky piece of wood that you can just drop on the board. Looks awesome. In a time where also people maybe don't want to share dice a lot, and pass a lot of dice around the table. It's nice to have a personal set of dice for each player at the table. So you can easily add on a pack for that to give each player that experience.
And you can never have enough dice.
Ever. You can never have enough dice. And these are cool dice, we always add colors, multi-swirls, laser etched, that kind of high quality always.
The meeples look great. The meeples look like, those are very unique. The Hydra alone looks very unique.
Yeah, and I appreciate you hitting on that. Is this in the same way that the miniatures are just great miniatures in general, for maybe extra, use in a role-playing game, or, having a different type of experience. These wooden boss meeples, hanging in your store next to even your D&D miniatures, I think people are going to look at those and be like, oh my gosh, is that a Scion? Oh, that is a Hydra. Look at that Medusa, and they're generic enough that I think they can serve different purposes as well. And again, just like this dice pack, in a nice little hang bag with a little, a poly bag with a hang tag at the top. And so these accessories do go beyond just the game.
Yeah, that's great. No, giving options to retailers to be able to obviously sell the product with the line itself, but then also have opportunities, like you said, like people buying pirate coins for other pirate themed games, or people buying these, meeples for D&D or Pathfinder or anything else like that. Like anything like that is good from a retail perspective, because it gives them more opportunity to sell the product, which is great.
Right. And so you can see the offering is quite large. There's kind of one more thing. People can see my screen if I show something. Should I zoom back out?
Yeah, if you stop doing the sharing, it'll go back to your screen, so you can show them the big giganticness of what
so yeah, exactly. So something that we didn't that you didn't get to see and cover, because I kind of wanted to show you in kind of a real-time aspect, is we've actually created this adventurer bag as well for Tiny Epic Dungeons. So we've really kind of thought of everything where you can be, a DM for a night, and it has this adventure bag where the game mat stores in top, it securely comes in with the Velcro, and everything else is stored inside of this bag. And so you can see all of the other products are stored nice and neatly inside of this bag. And so everything
insulated as well.
Yeah, it is. It's insulated.
I can put a pizza in there too.
Right. So it's game night and snack night in the same bag.
There you go. Whatever works, right? Whatever works.
Pizza rolls, vegan gyoza, whatever everybody likes.
Whatever works.
But so it's just kind of to keep it easy is we will have all in offerings where these come boxed, and you can just if you have people wanting to pre-order and they're like, man, I just really want to get everything for Tiny Epic Dungeons, you have a solution for them. So
that's cool. That's very cool. So I know one of the big questions that we get from a lot of retailers, the term demo has kind of changed over the last year and a half. It's kind of shifted to display copy. Yep. Because we see a lot more retailers who are wanting to put games on display rather than have them out to like teach or, sit down and have a group or anything like that. Do you guys have a program in place for retailers that if they wanted to reach out to get like a demo copy of either Tiny Epic Dungeons or maybe Tiny Epic Galaxies or anything like that, is that something they can just contact you on directly, or what's the best way to handle that?
Yeah, no, Scott, that's a great thing, is that yes, contacting me directly. And it's, and I can leave my information up on the screen again, or Scott can share it out, but it's just Nathan at GamelynGames.com. If you haven't visited GamelynGames.com, we have a beautiful website there built. It has retailer tools, distributor tools, customer tools. We have a Gamelyn Gazette, actually, that I really encourage everybody to view, is where we are aggregating the top social media posts, reviews, and things about Gamelyn Games into a very easily digestible view, and our customers are loving it, reviewers are loving it, and we're getting a lot of good quality traffic through the Gamelyn Gazette, where it's kind of your source for Tiny Epic, and we've been building this up. So I encourage everyone to visit Gamelyn Games, visit Gazette, contact me directly for those demo copies, because we do want to get the games into your hands, into those stores, because when people do see Tiny Epic set up, and they're like, wait, this game is in that box for $30.
Right.
There isn't that you don't have to sell it anymore. As soon as they make the connection that what they're looking at is $30 on that shelf, it's it really gets them there.
It is definitely a tactile type experience, right? When people can see the box itself. It obviously, your boxes have great artwork and they pop and they stand out. They're also really good when you're like storing them together as a retailer and displaying them and merchandising them together. I know some retailers have the display kit that you guys had come out with last year as well. But when it is something that's out, and like Tiny Epic Tactics is one that always kind of struck me as when you actually see that game on the table and you see everything that's involved with it. And I feel like Tiny Epic Dungeons would kind of be along the same lines as this.
Yes.
You look at it and you're like, whoa, that that fits in that. Like, you're
right.
like,
They actually don't believe it. They're like, oh, I see. You're just showcasing this Uber version,
right.
and it's like, no. Every
That's it.
single thing comes in the box, right? There's not something that you're not getting. It's like, oh, this is the standee version, or oh, this is the, this is the plastic version. No, everything you see comes in that box. And with that is something that we'll be promoting as well, is retailers out there, if you're familiar with Dized. Dized is a fantastic new, it's not super new, but it's becoming larger, interactive tutorials that are free downloads. Gamelyn Games, we have had professionally produced tutorials, and they're not just a video. You click through the tutorial, how many people are playing, and it walks you through step by step interactively to get that game going. And we had great success with Tiny Epic Pirates, and so we'll be heavily promoting that with Tiny Epic Dungeons as well.
I know a few retailers who've actually set up iPads in their stores, and what they'll have like a display table, and they'll have an iPad, and they'll use Dized as that piece on the iPad where they tell everybody, you don't need me, you don't need my staff. No. You just need to sit down and use this iPad, and it'll show you everything. So, which has been really, really cool. And we've we've tossed around a few kind of names here and there, but I wanted to just kind of rattle some off, just to kind of make sure retailers know that this is a game line that, like I said at the beginning, kind of has something for everybody, right? We've talked about Dungeons, of course, right now, which is the imminent release. We've talked about Pirates, which came out last year. There's Tiny Epic Dinosaurs. There's Tiny Epic Zombies. There's Tiny Epic Mechs. There's Tiny Epic Westerns. There's Tiny Epic Kingdoms. I mean, there is literally... It's kind of been a joke with me and my boss personally that we're like, what can be next?
Right.
there's been so much in the Tiny Epic universe already, and yet you guys still find a way to innovate and bring out new things and bring out new ideas, which has been really, really cool. Tiny Epic Galaxies has been one of the best sellers of the line for us, since it came out originally. And you guys just continue to innovate with all the new stuff. But it's one of those things that when I take a step back and look at it from a retailer's perspective, this isn't something that you necessarily need to only worry about one game at a time. There's so many different things that are out there and available for you. That's a great slide right there of all the different things that are available right there. If you have, kids that are into dinosaurs in your store, that's a great thing. And there's been a lot of dinosaur games recently with the, kind of resurgence of Jurassic World and that series and everything over the last couple of years. If you have people that love zombies, because I mean, it's the joke, zombies don't die. They never do. They're always there.
Which is maintained as a good seller for us. And kind of like Scott was mentioning is these, it's important to understand that these aren't reskins of each games. These are truly unique, different games from each other. They're different themes, mechanics completely from each other. So one person who may not enjoy a particular Tiny Epic game, that doesn't mean that they're not going to enjoy the Tiny Epic series. Maybe the mechanic set wasn't right for them. They're like, you know what? I just don't like games in space. I really prefer playing medieval fantasy. Well, then Tiny Epic Kingdoms is right up their alley. And these sell in pairs very well because of at that $30 price point. Well, shoot. I planned in coming to buy a game today. I have $60. I'm going to pick up Quest and Zombies, and I'm going to get two games, and they feel very full. And we see again a surge. People, it's the old Pokemon strategy. You have to have them all. People. I don't meet anybody who just owns one Tiny Epic. I really don't.
They don't. Yeah, they don't. It's kind of like Lay's potato chips. You can't eat just one, right?
Yeah, you love it. We love all those monikers.
It's true. Really, apart from the name, apart from the box size and the designer and the publisher, the games are extremely different. Tiny Epic Tactics is the one that always kind of stands out to me in my mind because very much like Ice Cool and how the box is nested inside of itself, Tiny Epic Tactics unpacks and you have like a three-dimensional world that you play on. I'm a big fan of Japanese role-playing games, and Epic Tactics just felt like I was playing whatever, Advance Wars or Fire Emblem or anything like that. It was just awesome. And that's completely opposite from sitting down with Western and like playing poker mechanics, like having things like that, right? So they are extremely, extremely different in terms of how they play, but they all provide really, really cool replayability. And like you said, having the boards be modular it adds so much variability to how you play the game. I mean, I'm very excited about dungeons because obviously dungeon crawl games do extremely well. They're a genre that
Right.
continues to
Great,
both
great
innovate
seller.
but maintain itself. So there's a lot of fun that's going to be packed into this, which is going to be really, really cool. So
Right.
and
No, not everybody, gets Gloomhaven to the table maybe as much as they would want. Tiny Epic
right,
Dungeons is going to give you that dungeon crawl injection every single time, and
right.
you're gonna find it hitting the table more and more and more.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? It does tend to be that the dungeon games tend to be either really, really big or really, really small, right? There's really not a
Right.
lot in that middle space, so it's kind of funny.
Right.
But
It's either 5-minute dungeon or
right,
9 hours of D&D, right? And so,
right,
but again, because of the Tiny Epic nature of what we're trying to do, is we're not taking 5-minute dungeon and making it last an hour. We're taking 9 hours of Dungeons and Dragons and
right.
condensing it into that hour. It's a concentrated experience.
Yeah, I'll tell you, playing a dungeon crawl in an hour is very rare. So that's another appealing, selling point. When like you said, if you have people that in your store that are, buying these big honking, commitment type games,
Yeah.
tell them, hey, for $30, not only can you do this in an hour, but you get all this stuff and you can take it on the go. You can take it wherever you want to, in your bag.
It still comes with the miniatures. Don't worry.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It still comes with the minis.
I think to me, that's like still one of the biggest values for the base game and for stories. You're spending $45 SRP. You're getting 15 or 16 miniatures and
16.
Yeah. And the entire, cast of, the quests and the dungeon crawl and everything else like that there's $45 games, like just the game itself, that don't have that much stuff in them. So that's a really, really good value. So no, I really appreciate you taking the time to come talk to the retailers about this. Just as a reminder too, we do have some retailers who are outside the United States. Definitely feel free, reach out to your sales reps. They can get you set up with this. That's not going to be an issue at all.
Yeah, and we'll ship demo copies worldwide as well. We're a global company, and we want to continue to grow everywhere we possibly can. So yes, if you are located outside the United States, please, we will do everything we can to ensure that you're taken care of as well.
I know a retailer in Guatemala that's probably going to hit you up within 5 minutes of seeing this.
Boom, tell them, let's go.
That's a good thing. That's
cell phone numbers in the deck.
That's good. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Nathan, I'm really looking forward to obviously a really exciting launch with this. It's really good timing too. It's right around the Gamma time frame, right? So as hopefully, fingers crossed, I know they just canceled New York Toy Fair, but fingers crossed that we can get the Gamma. This will be something that retailers will probably be able to see and touch and get their hands on right there in person and everything. So really well timed, and I'm sure the rest of 2022 is going to have a lot of exciting stuff. So
yes, we are not stopping the Tiny Epic train anytime soon. So just continue to look for blockbuster releases.
You need to make like an April Fool's of like Tiny Epic distribution or something.
You know how bad, Scott, we want to do that every
Pick up
year.
and move game, right?
I'm like, what could be the biggest troll? What could we actually do? But then people would be like, is it real? Like, it would really cause a lot of. We want to. Let's talk offline and come up with something good.
That's the danger of the April Fool's joke, is that suddenly people are like, no, this is a cool thing. Like, I really want this, right? So
we'll give them a buy now button and we'll see what happens. We'll see if people take it as a joke. We'll see how much people
you never know. You never know, right? So awesome. Well, Nathan, thank you very much. Retailers, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to watch and listen. If you do have questions, definitely feel free, leave them below in the YouTube channel. We'll be happy to get back to you. If it's anything we don't know the answer to, we know how to get a hold of Nathan at gamelyngames.com. We can get a hold of him and get you answers for everything. But we look forward to many more webinars with you this year, providing much more information, helping you out in your stores and selling all these great games. So until we see you next time, thanks so much for being a partner. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.